Okay. For archival purposes, I did not actually remember to press record, and we are doing an art. This is Kojiki. He's named after the Kojiki. That's his megaform. It's a samurai. Here's the speed paint I just did. Whoops-a-doodles. I wasn't recording. Uh, Tumblr still got the stream, so that's fine. Uh, it's okay. It's fine that you didn't remind me. Ultimately, it's fine. Uh, let's get back to business. Ultimately, this is going to be saved. This thing should be auto-saving. I'm going to manually save it real quick. Kajiki has the mega. It is over here. It occurred to me that I could have written this in a style that was like wavy, so I could put it on a scroll. But I want it to look a little out of place, like it's a HUD element, so that it stands out a little. Let's do background for that. More of a yellow. Yeah, let's do a yellow white. So I could just then copy and paste this this layer group and put it in the other ones when I do the other ones. That looks a little too simple. Let's do an extra layer of just white on the inside. Yeah, there we go. Very subtle. It's probably not super visible that I did like yellow and a much lighter yellow. There. How does it look when I zoom out? Yeah, that reads clear. If anything, that might be a little too big. That's fine. I can move the whole layer down a little bit. Let's start doing some flat colors. Turn that off, turn that off, turn that off, go back in here. Let's get flats. So, on stream, you can see my references. I have them up on the side too, so I'm going to be occasionally switching to this so that I can eyedropper this stuff. Let's see. You know, it's always good to start with skin tone, or I find it better. It's like I'm building up from the bottom instead of like going from the top inwards. Let's see. Actually, might want to keep just the very back of my background on, but maybe not all the way. There, so that I can see if I've got like pixel bleed. That's gonna help me. I'm gonna close some of the other stuff in my window. Becky, go away. Baby, could you go away? You also go away. There we go. Bring you down to there. So I can eyedropper it off of this actually. Wait a minute. Let's get his eyes. And then dropper his eye color. Get that in there. Not that you can see it at this level of detail. Alright. I got... This part's not super interesting. I mean, I could just start repeating shit I had said before I turned on the recording, but anyone actually watching is gonna be bored by that. I also had... There was like a line of separation here for where the Swampert underbelly is. It's like a ridge in the metal, so it needs an actual line. The base of his, like, undersuit all this. Go. Once I've got the color used in eyedropper, I can take it from over by my color wheel too, so I don't have to constantly switch. There. I'm always worried that this armored mask is a little too Bowsery, but I go with it anyways because it also just looks fun. It's not an exact Swampert look, like it's more monstery, but it's like it's supposed to be scary when you're on the battlefield. You see this guy and he's got like a demon mask. So that's that. Let's get that orange, get some orange shit going on. This particular pen I've been using for almost anything. It's a custom brush, I made it myself. It's not perfectly opaque, which is usually what I like because the texture comes out neat. But it also means that sometimes you can see through the lines, so if I color like outside of the lines too imprecisely, it's kind of tacky looking, so I gotta be careful. Go. Should just start rambling about the adventure thus far for Kajiki and his people. So I came into the game, got him out of Professor Birch's distress scenario with if you've played Sapphire, you know what I'm talking about. It's the you go out into the field and he's being attacked by Puchiana, and you got to pick one of the Pokemon out of his bag and use it to help save him. So he comes out of there, and we do the sequence to just we're playing the game, and then I tell him afterwards, your world is about to become the home to a great migration of heroes from beyond your world, reaching forward from many pasts and many other realities to find a new home worthy of such hallowed champions. But if they come in now, your entire world will be rolled over, and you will just be consumed by their glory with none of your own. So first, we're going to go beat the game. He doesn't know what that means, because he's a dumb lizard. He's a dumb salamander, sitting there in his little mud hole. It's like, you're going to record the... Can't really eyedropper that Mega Stone. I'm just gonna have to... it's Swampert colored. It's a Mega Stone. There we go. We got our marble. You're going to record the journeys and heroism of your people, and that will prepare you and your brethren for when other mighty warriors come in to make this their home. They will be met by people as strong as themselves. And then, because none of this makes any sense, it's basically me role-playing with myself. It's like, okay. Well, I'm 0 years old, so I'm just gonna do what you say. How's this look so far? Yeah, this looks good. Let's do fill coloring for the main. So the history of his world has to come with a beginning of what is even going on, because he doesn't know anything. So through it, like I have like in my personal notes, there's things where it's just he's asking me things. It's like, what is any of this? And by having him ask it, I can figure out how I want to tell that story. So it's I didn't make his world, but I own it. I bought it from GameStop. And I am here to help him and everyone like him to become their best. I own many other worlds like his, some almost identical to his. I've seen these stories before. I've journeyed here with other people, not in Alpha Sapphire, but in regular Sapphire. And because of this world's similarity to those I've seen before, but just a little more advanced, it's been deemed a perfect place for many of the creatures I care about. And I try to explain this to him as like, okay, well, you got worlds and you got like worlds connected to worlds, and they can only connect one way. You can't. They're not backwards compatible, only forwards. And I buy them from the internet sometimes, and we link them together, and then like everything's gonna get shoved in here. Like all of them are coming here. I tried to write it out as though I was like drawing him a diagram in the dirt, kind of like, which would look like a mandala or something, like just circles upon circles of interconnecting worlds with like gods in them and shit. And he's like, I get it. It's like a basket of berries is what he came up with, because I guess he was eating at the time. It's like, but like you put them in there and then they grow, and that's how the trees grow. So we're the trees, and I'm like, no, you gotta grow the tree in the basket. It's good. You're good. You got it. This is pretty good. So he's here to help me garden all of his fellow creatures into being really strong. I guess so that then I can put other trees in. I don't know. He's trying his best. One of his sisters really likes gardening, is what we figured out. So I think that's where he's getting it. I'll bring up a picture of her, just as an aside. Where is she? So, Kushina, which is short for Kushinada Hime. I should probably have just called her like Inada Hime instead, because I think it's the name of a character from like Shinto folklore. Uh, I think it means something like princess of fertile rice fields or some shit like that. I don't remember. This is a Gardevoir. If you couldn't tell, Ralt's currently a Gardevoir, Mega Gardevoir. This picture is on my Tumblr if you want to see the full thing. She likes planting berries, partly because I like planting berries. I just like having a bunch of them. So I got a lot of the berries that reset EVs on Pokemon. So I can, when I bring other things in, I can like re-EV train them, because it's easy to do in 6th gen because you got the super training stuff. So I've got her doing those. And later, if I want to do like contests, we'll have berries to make Pokeblocks for that. Anyways, like she just constantly, anywhere we go, anywhere, wants to plant some more berries. Which is like, we're not going to revisit every single plot of land in Hoenn. We're going to use the one big one at the Berry Master's house, and that's it. And I don't know. She's very enthusiastic. But anyways, I think because she never shuts up about berries, that's like one of the first things he could grasp as like a metaphor for the cosmology of me owning video games. It's like, yeah, very good. You're figuring it out. So now you got to write it all down. Assume at some point in the middle I taught him how to write, or maybe because I'm taking a bunch of little imaginary animals and making them into little imaginary people. Let's just assume that they come prepackaged with the ability to speak and read and write and breathe and put clothes on. And then we teach them philosophy, I guess. So he is, in his personal understanding of the world, he was selected because he's a starter and they are special, capital S special. They are sacred to the way in which the game is played. The people who built it designed the starters with a very specific intent and lots of care put into them. You know, in theory, that probably doesn't apply for all of them. I don't know how we explain Score Bunny, uh, but we then have to pile a bunch of extra responsibility on Kajiki because he's the special boy. He's the starter. You are the one who has to lead your people. And I tasked him to write all this shit down. Poor little thing. Um, so we went from beginning of the game onwards. He has 4.5 sisters. Let's say 4.5 sisters. He has Kushina that you saw. Now, let's just bring up the rest. So I'm going into it in full now that I've finally got I got the recording still going. It didn't stop or anything. All right, let's bring up the rest. There was Kushina. There is, where is she? Uzume. This is a Mightyena. Where's her Puchiena form? I don't have it on the same thingy. Uzume, she's the one that you get in Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire when they do basically the little tutorial where Brendan shows you how to do the Dex Snap to find hidden Pokemon in the grass. I assume it's the same one for everyone for the first thing that shows up, and it's a Puchiena with Fire Fang, which is a egg move. They don't normally learn that. What I love about that system is that if they have an egg move, you can find out all of the possible species of the father of that Pokemon. I think hers is probably I forget. I had it written down. There's a few things that learn Fire Fang and then can pass it on to Puchiena in breeding, and I think it's like one of them is more likely to have happened because they are more likely to have been anywhere near Hoenn. Let me check my notes. Let me see. I got like a Google Doc up. Yeah, there I go. Uzume's Fire Fang could come from Arbok, Growlithe and Arcanine, Flareon, Snubbull and Gramble, Houndour and Houndoom, Dawnfan, that's a weird one, Exploud, Manectric, Hippopotas, Stoutland, Darumaka and Darmanitan, or Litleo Pyroar. None of these seem likely. Houndoom seems thematic for a Poochyena since they're dogs. So I guess I at some point decided her dad was a Houndoom. Anyways, this was the first sister for Kachiki. She comes up in the catching tutorial. Uzume is named after the Shinto deity Ame no Uzume, who is just kind of a goddess of festivals and merriment and whipping your tits out. It's literally like when Amaterasu, the goddess of the sun, hides in a cave for reasons. She was in a fight with someone. It depends on which version of the story you're reading. It's a different fight. But everyone's like, well, shit, the sun just decided to take her ball and go home. We need to get her out of there. And what they wind up doing is throwing a party, and she peeks her head out of the cave to see what's going on at the party. And Uzume is the one who is, like, dancing in the middle of it all. So that's this character. She's tangentially related to the sun, so that works with the fact that she has Fire Fang. Anyways, Kajiki and her were the first to have to figure things out, and she's kind of like his practical balance. When discovering that Team Aqua wants to flood the world, Kajiki's like, oh, well, I mean, I can swim through that. And Uzume's the one that's like, some of us live on land. We can't do that. Or, when I first went into Granite Cave in, near Dewford Town, there's, in Alpha Sapphire, there's a big cave painting in there. It's supposed to be, like, foreshadowing for, Kyogre. Kajiki really liked that. He thought that was really neat. So he was like, oh, I want to stay in here for a while. And when I was trying to, oh, it didn't eyedropper that? I was trying to eyedropper that. Take that color. Got it. When I was trying to figure out where I wanted to put our secret base, He was like, I just want to go back to that cave. That cave was really cool. And Uzume is just yelling, we can't live in a cave. That's depressing. I hate it. She's the one who just tells him what not to do, I guess. Let me close that. Close that, because getting in the way of me eyedropping the stripes on his belt. There. One of his consistent motifs is he's just got this belt with stripes on it. It is also kind of part of his tail. Like, I like to give their Pokemon forms unique markings sometimes. So he's got like the little stripes on the tail in every form. It came from me just noticing that there were stripes on a lot of the reference pictures for Yayoi period outfits. And I was like, okay, I could use that. Kind of looks like the fin webbing on Mudkip tail, and then it just kind of turned into more exaggerated stripes on the tail itself. Anyways, it's him and Uzume and Kushina that you saw a little bit ago, and let me just get these stripes before I add more people to the screen. Let's see, her name is Mizu Hanome, is a Ludicolo, and then Toturi is a Pelipper. I'll bring them up in just a sec. Get some stripes. I'm actually really pleased with the fact that my hand hasn't gone numb yet. I've been having that issue for the last couple of years. It turns out there's like a problem in one of my neck vertebrae. So sometimes my hands will go numb. And then on top of that, I apparently have carpal tunnel in both wrists now. So sometimes I can't do shit. I've noticed it's very much tied to whether or not I've had a really rough day at work. If I had to do a lot of stuff really fast, a lot of lifting, a lot of cleaning. So I'm really happy I haven't had that issue tonight. Yeah, it's just about everything black colored. Save. Let's open. Where is Toturi? Here's Toturi. Her name comes from me immediately, like 3 or 4 Pokemon in, running out of female names from Shinto lore. So like there's a specific folklore character. I want to say his name is Okuninushi. I might be saying it wrong. But he has multiple wives, and as you go down the list, you get some names where there's no detail. It's like he meets this one and marries them. This is one of the ones. This is a side wife. But Toturi, Tori means bird. So it's I think the assumption with what that name originally meant was something like bird capturing princess or some shit like that. So that's her. So there's a Wingull down here. Got the little wings as her pigtails. This outfit is more based on theoretical reconstructions of Jomon period outfits. Because in Jomon pottery, like the weird little Dogu spaceship little men, the patterns of like braided cord on their body are assumed to be probably supposed to look like actual textile texture on the clothes. So reconstructions of what they think that their clothes looked like used a lot of just line patterns, just sort of wiggling and zigzagging around on the body. So I kind of did that. She's got like a bird on her skirt. I don't remember why she's barefoot. It's fine though. And then this is slightly more Yayoi period, sort of, in that she's got kind of a regular dress and kind of a regular robe. And then a lot of this is nonsense. This character design has a lot of nonsense. Her little earrings are literally just supposed to be like Pelipper feathers. And like that's an evolution, obviously, but then this is supposed to be like a teen stage. Everyone gets 3 stages even if they do not evolve. So then everyone kind of grows up together. So they got a child, a teen, and an adult stage. And then it's kind of the same outfit, but you're starting to see more of like the Pelipper pelican beak in like the chest area. That was kind of what I was going for, because that takes up the entire body of a Pelipper is like almost all beak. So it's like, how do I do that without just giving her a horrible face? So she's a little top heavy. And then everything down here is nonsense. Those shoes don't make any sense. Her hair has vaguely geisha stylings in it, but only sort of. It's a lot of nonsense. Anyways, that's Toturi. Her main thing is that she is the one who flies us everywhere. Her personality is not super defined. She's kind of just part of the group. She doesn't like do a lot of arguing with the others. And Mizu Hanome, which is the name of, I want to say it's another one of Izanagi and Izanami's kids, because they have a bunch of god spawn. It's a water goddess. So this is a Ludicolo. Starts with a Lotad. Lombre. So that whole line of Pokemon are vaguely Kappa. Like, not even that vague. Like, their main ability is based on the idea that they have the little Kappa spot in their head that collects rain. But instead of just straight up making her a literal Kappa, she's got the little straw hat. And I was looking up like pictures of these straw hats. I want to say this is called an amigasa, and it's normally cone shaped so that you can like fit like your regular hair behind it without fucking up like a bun. Um, and when I was looking up pictures of those for reference, one of the things that kept coming up was the DuckDuckGo search wanted to bring me pictures of amigas, so it was giving me like selfies of girls hanging out together. I assume from like Spanish speaking posters on some part of the internet. So just showing me amigas is like, that is actually really on brand for a Ludicolo. So it's like this Kappa in a straw hat who just dance and kind of has a sombrero in the regular design. It's like, yeah, no, that's synergy. We're going with it. So she's got like a lot of stuff going on here, like the Ludicolo stripes are in her hair. And she mostly just likes dance. She was one of the ones who came with an egg move, because I got her through the fancy hidden Pokemon feature. She has Teeter Dance, which I think there's only one thing she can get that from. Let me check my notes. Let's see. Let's see. Yes. In order to get Teeter Dance as an egg move, she would have to have had a Cacnea or Cacturn as a father, which kind of still works pretty good for the idea of Ludicolos having this vague Mesoamerican feel on top of being Kappa. Like, yeah, she's Cactus Kappa and she likes to dance. We're here to party. Let me get back into my drawing. So anyways, it's Kajiki. Uzume is his eldest sister. He's the oldest. She's the oldest girl. And then Toturi and Mizuhaname, I don't remember which of them came first. Kushinada Hime was right after that. And then eventually, after going through a little ways, I was able to find... Where is she? Hitorigami. So Hitorigami means like singular god. Like it is the name of the concept of the gods that first spawned at the beginning of the world in Shinto, where it's like they're just creation gods. They don't have a lot of things known about them. They don't have a lot of personality like just out there. They don't go on adventures. It's just like these things spawned into existence and then made things and then like went off to do their whatever they want in space or whatever. And they came out as singular people as opposed to the gods immediately after them that came in like brother-sister pairs. So they're single gods. She is the only one of her kind because she is my world sacrifice. Now, I got this game off of... yeah, this one was from GameStop, I want to say. It was used. So the original... I'm just going to start shading while I'm talking about this. Let's start shading. The original file for it, I took all of the Pokemon out of, but you have to leave something behind. You can't just take everything and VoIP it into bank and then have a blank file that you can restart. Something has to stay behind, and that was Hitorigami, which, like every other Pokemon in that file had been caught by the original guy. I nicknamed them all and then moved them all to bank. And the one left behind is something I caught specifically for this purpose, and her name was Hitori. And then when I recorded like her level, gender, and I didn't worry too much about getting the exact same nature because that's really hard. But I just made a note of what it was originally. Um, but what was it originally? Let me look that back up. Where is that note in my Google Doc? She was originally gentle nature. So I wrote that down. She was level 12. She's female. I caught her in a premier ball. I think when I caught her the second time, I wasn't able to do a premier ball. Unfortunate. Anyways, when I deleted the world, she died with it. But then when I caught something with the acceptably similar specs, it got the name Hitorigami. I added God to the end of last person, basically. And she is the most important person in the world because the entire world was built on her back. So, starters are very sacred. Oh, and she went from gentle nature to impish nature, like dying and coming back may have done something to her. She's the most important person in the world. Starters are sacred, but because this was not a purely new world, the starter is not the thing holding it up. I've not worked out how that cosmology works. Don't worry about that. But because Hitorigami was the thing left behind and the world was basically spawned on her sacrifice, she needs to be there when I beat the game in order for the world to be stable and complete. I've done this before with a few other playthroughs where it's like there is someone who has to be here. I want to say my first one was Machoke. I did not evolve into a Machamp because that would involve a trait evolution. It felt like taking the world sacrifice out of the world was going to fuck up the cosmology, so I didn't. Second one was a Drowsy. Both of those are okay fights for, or are okay combatants for, those were for leaf green runs. It's like, yeah, I was able to get through those okay. For my last regular Sapphire run, it was a Spinda. Not an amazing choice, not super good at fighting, but she was versatile for specific things because their move pool is actually pretty broad. So this time it was a Sableye, which is nice because she has a Mega, and you'll notice this one is not based on prehistoric Japan. She's supposed to look like she comes out of a horrible vault in a cave where a ruined lab was found or some shit like that. I don't have a specific thing. She's literally just caught in Granite Cave. It's not like there's any real lore beyond she's a Pokemon. But like she gets a little bit cleaned up and then gets a little more punk, and then her Mega is very closely based on the aesthetic, and her regular is as well. This is the aesthetic from like Mega Man Legends. The idea I wound up going with was that she is like a precursor from a world that's gone now, and the ruins of it are more advanced than what's currently here. It just kind of worked for me for everything else going on. So while Kajiki goes and puts on samurai armor when he goes into his Mega, Hitorigami just straight up goes like Mega Man. So whenever I get to doing her champion picture, that's going to be fun. Might be really hard, though, because I don't know if I want to have to, like, redraw all of her weird little floating halo thingies. Anyways. It's Kajiki and his four sisters who are just all, like, regular Pokemon from the world, and then the character that's kind of, like, a spiritual sister. He has 4.5 sisters. Kitori is... He spends a lot of time with her. They both like caves. And he constantly wants to ask her what the other world was like, and she doesn't know. She doesn't remember that shit. Because she was caught, and I pet her and gave her a Pokebuff, and then immediately was like, okay, saving the game, we're resetting. So, like, she doesn't know. She has no business with any of that. None of this matters to her. She just kind of wants to chill in her cave. She likes to have fun. She does like battling, but she doesn't care about this other shit. But Kojiki cares about trying to get some of it from her, both because it's important for the quest I've given him, but also because it's just like, it feels like Hitori got a raw deal out of it, and he kind of just wants to be on top of like making sure she feels okay and stuff like that. In addition to her having a completely different aesthetic that he doesn't understand, and he likes to ask questions about it. But again, she doesn't know. She's just here. So it's necessary to bring Hitorigami with us to complete the world, but it's necessary for Kojiki to do most of the legwork because he's the starter. So they have to uh, forge forward, and they have the four regular girls for like moral support and for like using surf and fly and waterfall and shit like that. Uh, so that's the team. That's their quest. I actually haven't had them beat the game yet. I've started on this early, so it doesn't take me forever like my last set did. Um, but they're gonna win. Like the level scale in Alpha Sapphire, like the gyms and stuff, they're all at the levels they were in original Sapphire, but with the extra experience you get off of the different experience share really boosts everyone up. In addition to having super training available, and I do super train my Pokemon, I even trade them like in regular Sapphire. I go in and just with like a file and notepad, I just keep track of like how many Spindas I've bopped on route like 120 or whatever it is. Just like, oh yeah, that's all my special attack EVs. I do that shit. So like in a game that makes it easier and has the affection mechanic, which lets you do things like dodge hits out of like love for the trainer, and then things like oh, I just realized he doesn't have eyebrows in this one. What the fuck? Where are your eyebrows? I do that often. I have a tendency to just completely forget eyebrows, which is weird because I like them. Good eyebrows really make a character. Let's go back and get some color in there. There we go. I also noticed that up here it looks like there's a gap in the coloring. There. What was I saying just a second ago? Yeah, the leveling, the scaling, it's like you also have things like fairy type existing, so the type matchups are slightly different, which helps in our case because we've got a Gardevoir on the team, and she's fairy and psychic now instead of just psychic. So that gives her some things that she's able to use against dark types. And just everything is just easier, unless you go out of your way to make extra restrictions for yourself, which I didn't in this case. I was giving myself extra restrictions like don't beat the game until you've designed all these character outfits, which requires you to research samurai armor. So I didn't give myself gameplay restrictions. Like I don't do Nuzlockes or anything like that. So like they could beat the game easy. I want to say that the highest level thing in the champions party is probably only like level 70-ish, 75 maybe. And I think Kajiki's like almost level 80 just on his own from just being in the back of the party while everyone else does things. So like I'm just getting these out of the way because it's like it's a done deal. They're gonna win. I just need to have this stuff ready so I can make a big Tumblr post and then blaze it so that everyone is forced to look at my Pokemon. I've done that a couple of times already. Once for one of my my leaf green playthroughs, and then once for my last Sapphire playthrough. And I don't do like the big one. I do like the $10 blaze. So it's not a lot of ad impressions, but considering that I'm not actually advertising, people usually respond well to it. It's like, oh, hey, this person's just showing off a drawing. That's good. Like, I got to see a drawing and they weren't selling anything. It would be great if people, like, came and, like, followed me and stuff, but I'm not currently offering a lot in the way of, like, things you can buy. Like, if you ask to commission me, I usually just say, not right now. I've got personal stuff to do, which is both this and, like, my hand's been not great, so I don't want to make any promises that I can't keep. So, like, just I blaze them for the sake of look at my Pokemon. And people appreciate not being marketed to. That's just look at my Pokemon. And people who are into that kind of thing sometimes follow. So anyways, when I beat the game, I want to be able to have these like available and out there so I can like garner attention for them. So I'm doing them in advance. There we go. So he's shaded and highlighted down there. Gonna come back around to the main art, highlight that one. So I learned to draw from mostly imitation and tutorials from like virtual pet communities and Gaia Online. So my shading and stuff, like I've picked up a lot of tricks along the way, but I'm not necessarily like amazing at any of this. Like there's not a lot of like visible light source. I'm not really sure where the light source is. I mean, in my background, it's like up above and behind everything. But if I did that, everyone would be like only shaded, like shaded really darkly, and then only highlighted around the edges of the picture. It's like I'm not doing that. We're not going super dramatic there. I want them to be more visible than that. I forgot to shade his face. How did I do that? I got all of his hair shaded and like. Well, no, I stopped. I didn't get his bun or his ear either. Yeah, let's get his face. Yeah, my shading sounds like there's not a very distinct light source. It's mostly just I'm using dark and light to just make sure you can see the forms of them well. Like there's a little bit of dramatic to it, but I'm trying to keep it fairly toned down, and if I try to make it too dramatic, I'm just gonna like obscure my colors too much, I think. I want it to mostly be you can see the colors they are supposed to be. It's not like they're really like in an environment, because this is just supposed to be showing off the design. Alright, his face is shaded. Let's go back to our highlights. I love drawing and shading hair, by the way. I'm holding back on this and by not making him super shiny haired. Although I could probably justify it with this color and the fact that he's a water type. I could give him really shiny hair if I wanted, but let's hold back. Let's not go super stark shiny anime. We're just going like casual DeviantArt anime. I don't know what material these weird shoulder pads would be made of. Like, historically, they're probably made out of, like, wood or layered paper. And then metal in places. Like, this front thing might be metal. But in this design where it's a Pokemon magically tromping around in human form, I guess his armor is probably made out of, like, bone. I'm gonna say it's made out of bone, but like it's not literally parts of his body, except when it is. Because the way I envision it, these guys can turn from this like humanoid form back into their regular form if they want. Like they can do like the yokai kind of thing where it's like, oh, you know, like a kitsune just pops into like a fox form, or it can be a person, or it can be whatever. Like they can just turn back into what they regularly are and like scuttle away into the swamp if they want, and the clothes just disappear. So it's like I don't know, are those like kept in like some kind of hyperspace, or they turn back into parts of the body? Like we're not going to get too in depth with it. It's fine. You know what? I'm thinking now that I've placed the shading, let's get a little more dark here. Now that I've placed the shading, I think I'm going to go back to the shading on the little insert here of his Mega Evolution, and I'm going to change the color of it. So, like, this is nice and neutral, mostly. A little purplish for the shade and a little yellowish for the highlight. I think I'm going to go ahead and make this one a little more red. Maybe not that far. I'm using, let's go more orange. Doing more warm shading colors for the little mega insert, which will match with the little title here. And then let's give that an outline. We're doing like the red and blue contrast here. Oh, that's going to need to be much brighter. There we go. Because this is a little inset, like a little HUD element that just kind of shows you what his megaform looks like. I want it to stand out a little, like it's not part of the scene, it's in front of the scene. There we go. So, when everything is put in place, this is what we got so far. So I'm going to want some of his info up on top. And like a move set, I think, is going to be down on the bottom. And then his name's going to be like in a big splash over on the side. Okay. But in the sketching, I had also had like an extra element back here. So I'm going to turn some of this off. And then let's make that a little transparent. Down here, make a new group layer. Attack effects. I think what I was going for when I did my sketch was I'm going to bring up a previous champion post in my leaf green second stuff. This is Tortu. He is the son of my best boy, my first starter. Anyways, he's a Squirtle. One of the things I did for that run was that I kept him and his cousin Rex, who is a Charmander. They have Everstones on. So they went all the way up to the Elite Four. They were like level 63 or something as just unevolved starters. Anyways, behind him... Oh, this is attack effect. He has ice beams. He's got like cold breath there. There's this nice little Hokusai wave. That's him using Surf. I think I was doing something like that with Kajiki. He doesn't have Surf. I want to say he has Muddy Water. But anyways, I was going to do something like that, and then I was going to have rocks coming out of it, because I think he also has... It's not Stone Edge. Maybe it's Smackdown? He has a rock attack, so I was going to have something like that in there. I was going to do something similar to this, but not exactly like this. Let's close that one. Also, let's close Satori's thing. We don't need her right now. Alright, let's do a sketch. Let's bring up the previous sketch. Oh, that was really vague. I can't tell what's going on there. Alright, so let's do something like crashing waves on some rocks. Don't want it to go off screen before it turns into like a recognizable rock. It's gonna have like bits coming off of it. Maybe rocks coming out of it. And then waves on the other side of the rock. Okay, that's kind of a start. Let's start with inking. I'm going to check chat real quick, actually. Hello to everyone who's showed up. Am I not allowed to scroll up and down the chat? I don't know. Hello to everyone who showed up. I hope this has been entertaining. I hope I don't sound too crazy talking about how I ask my human Pokemon how they feel when they do things. But, yeah, okay, going back to this. Chat's not really chatting, but that's fine, because I'm just kind of stream of consciousness. I'm not reading chat actively, so that's probably for the best. So let's do Just a regular ass rock jutting out of somewhere. A bunch of this is gonna get covered up. Let's do some little cracks on it. And then some little stone edge looking rocks just kind of coming out of nowhere. Just it's dynamic. Let's make that a little transparent and do next layer is going to be should probably look up reference pictures for how this should look. But I'm not gonna. It's gonna be behind everything, so I'm not too worried. These are gonna look more watery when I'm done, I think. Make those lines a little more connected. You know what? No, those will be in the coloring. I'll leave those out for now. This one over here looks too much like one of the rocks shape-wise, so let's redo that. Don't want to go too crazy. Put him in front. No, I don't like it. We're doing that over. That's fine though. Put him away again. Let's do... You know what? It needs to be not so crazy in front. So let's do like... Like it's a wave and then the crash. And maybe a layer of stuff. Yeah, that's better. But then I want one in the back then. If it's not crashing too far up in front, I'm going to need something else back here. That looks like a lightning bolt. That's not what I want. Nah, that looks too much like lightning bolts. Need something a little more splashy. Need to not forget that there would be like droplets. There's some droplets in there. on the top layer. Let's get some drops in there too. Yeah. Back still kind of looks like shit. I think I overthink this one. Erase that. Let's just go. Doesn't need to emerge from the rock that much. I think that's my problem. Yeah, let's go with this. Start by coloring in our rock. Let's get a nice kind of a nice volcanic color for it. Yeah, that works. There we go. It's a nice reddish lava rock. Although the texturing I did on it doesn't really look like lava rock, we're just going with it. This brush, by the way, kind of turns to spaghetti when you get it hot too big. Just becomes very choppy on the sides, which is fine. Since this is behind everything, I'm not going to do a lot of texturing on it. We're just going to have it like this. One solid color. And then let's turn the background back on. Maybe not the entire, all of that shit though. Turn off all of the effects. So I just got that nice gray so I can tell if I've got color bleed. Alright, going behind there. Let's get a nice foamy ocean color. Let's color outside the lines a little bit. This looks pretty good. Let's turn those off and bring up this one. This one's mostly self-contained, so I don't need the stuff behind it while I'm coloring it. It just gets in the way. It's distracting. Fill all these in. Not too much to say while doing that. The main thing spurring on me doing stuff like this, by the way, is that I'm terrified that, firstly, they don't put every Pokemon in every game anymore. So eventually there's going to be times where some of my Pokemon just need a permanent home. I can't keep transferring them up. So I need to make sure they're somewhere relatively safe, which is going to be Alpha Sapphire. It's far enough generationally that I can do things like pet them. They're in 3D. It's going to be on a cartridge, not in a cloud storage, so they'll be nice and safe unless I, like, destroy the cartridge somehow. And they'll have access to bank and home if I do want to put them forward. Then when eventually bank shuts down at some point in the future, probably not yet, although the 3DS store is basically gone today. If you have bank, it's still going to work in theory, and they won't continue to charge money if they literally can't because the 3DS store is down. They said they're just going to make it free. I don't know how long it'll stay up, though. I want it so that everything has access to bank, and I can put some of it into later games. I can do Shield or Violet. So I just want to have everything good. But I wanted to have things good across all my games, which included things like wanting to build a living deck so I can get the, well, it doesn't have to be a living deck, but I wanted to get the diploma in some of my 3rd gen games, so I built a living deck so that I could shove between each game, because I bought Pokemon Box with my pandemic stimulus money. But like I can do all my 3rd gen shit and just have complete 3rd gen cartridges, and then I'm gonna go forward into 4th gen and do as much completion as I can. Some things are technically undoable in 4th gen because the online for the regular DS has been down for a while, but it's like 2 things that are vital. I think it's like some online battle tower stuff. It's like I'm not as concerned about that. Let's bring up the other stuff. But anyways, I wanted everything to be really complete and satisfying so that if I at some point can't transfer things or lose things, I've got no regrets. Yeah, this looks good. So now I'm going to go in and add a slightly darker watercolor to some of these. But anyways, me doing an Alpha Sapphire run is me preparing the home for my guys, but also like I had just done a Sapphire run literally just because I needed another Latias. The one from my original I had transferred up into Diamond way too early, so I didn't have it around for me trying to get diploma stuff. So I needed another one. And then since I had just done regular Sapphire, I had this Alpha Sapphire cartridge that had been just waiting for me to use, and it was like, the idea is I'll do this right after the other one so I can see more freshly the differences between the versions, like the remake versus the original. And I think it's pretty good. It's not perfectly faithful. I know that the Battle Frontier isn't in it, and a bunch of the stuff from Emerald isn't in it. But, like, in terms of, like, keeping to the spirit of regular Ruby and Sapphire, it's not bad. There's a bunch of stuff that's redone, like expanded and changed, but I know that when I get to the end, there's also, like, some multiverse post-game plot, so it's like, I'm not going to judge it yet, but a lot of things that I care about are really nice. Like, the music has been redone really nicely. The way that certain things are incorporated in from changes made in the time since, they're just worked in well. Like, you've got your Pokemon Ami in it, so I can pet them. In addition to it being, Sapphire like I remember it. Being able to catch things with weird egg moves is an amazing addition. It helps make it more clear that you're not just retreading the same game. You get stuff that is new. Like, you can do big brain trainer stuff in addition to just bopping around and beating the plot. I don't know, it's a rewarding game so far. Other than the level curve being completely fucked by quality of life changes, but I'm fine with that. I don't need it to be super challenging. I could make it challenging if I really gave a shit, and I don't. Anyways, I'm eventually going to go back to, I bought a copy of Emerald, and I'm going to transfer out everything from the previous owner's file, which was a lot. It was amazing. There was a bunch of stuff already caught. It was a completed game. It was awesome. But I'm going to go back and do that for myself. And every playthrough of Emerald, if I put the entire Hoenn in and then talk to the professor, well, actually no, not Professor Birch. I think Professor Oak's in the game, yeah. And he will give you a Johto starter, and that's like the only one of 2 ways to get them in 3rd gen. The other way is to have Pokemon Coliseum, which we bought. Like, we have it, but I want both, so I'm going to do my own Emerald playthrough. And I'm going to get, like, a Totodile or something. That's why I needed a Latias. But then this whole detour into Alpha Sapphire, because I just did regular Sapphire, it's like, I don't know, it's preparing things for later. So I can move anything that I'm not going to use up. Like, I have a bunch of Pokemon where it's like, they're not super rare, so I don't need them to stay where they are for completion, and they're not super strong, so they're not going to be useful in, like, Battle Tower stuff. So I'm going to just move them all up to a place where it's safe and cozy, and I can reset their EVs and super train them, and I can pet them and feed them. And then that's like the end migration goal for a lot of my other guys. I'm sorry, I'm probably just rambling now. I have like a whole to-do list with like bullet points and tiers of priority, and it's like a lot. I tend to make everything I do a project, and it's a general problem, honestly. So anyways, how's my water looking? No, I don't want darker water in the splashes, I think. But yeah, it's looking pretty okay, I think. I think I'll need another like wave behind the rock. Not a splash, but a full on like a swoosh like I got down here. Gonna add some lighter blues to that. Yeah, that looks good. Now let's go back to here and do yeah, keep it simple. Yeah. Just gonna fill that in real quick like. And then darker blue. Is that the color I was using? Yeah, that. Yeah, this looks good. Let's bring all that back up. Cool. So I'm going to. Oh god, I touched the microphone. Sorry if you guys like heard a weird scratch of my hand going over there. Go back to here. Bring it. No, that's not what I want. There. Bring that up. Let's change the color of these lines. Changing the ones in back now, so it's not going to be super obvious. Gonna eye drop that. Bring it around front. And then let's change the rocks to start brown, maybe less saturated. Yeah. Then we'll only need one layer of shading and one layer of highlighting over this, I think. And I guess, yeah, I should eye drop those from Kajiki so that they're in the same scene. The light is in the same place. Even though it doesn't match the background, that's fine. Again, I'm not really putting a lot of emphasis on there being like a really defined light source. Not everything's going to look accurate. It's mostly just so that I got a little texture, a little definition to the shape. There we are. Feels kind of weird to put shading over the water, but It would have some. I'm kind of following the light source above for these. That works. And I drop that lighting. Everything's just kind of there for the action of it. Sometimes my shading and highlights will overlap a little. That's fine. Just creates a extra depth to it, I guess. Whatever. Alright. How are we looking? Got our letterboxing. Got our mega insert. I'm glad I outlined it so that he stands out a little more. I feel like the attack effects are taking up an awful lot of the screen. I might need to... Oh no, that just looks goofy as hell. I might need to darken them, just in general. Do a multiply layer. Let's just do just a nice gray. Just this whole, all of that. It's not super precise. I just want it to not be really bright right around where Gijinka is. Might make that darker. A little more blue than purple. Yeah. Right, I'm thinking then above all of that, but under the letterboxing, I'm going to have another overlay layer. Let's make it a light blue. So I'm kind of making like a light airbrush over that, and I'm going to bring down the opacity of it until I find something that looks right. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. So now I gotta put my text over my letterboxing. Oh, we need his name. Let's use the same red as in the mega title. Have it at kind of a nice angle here. Expect a lot of me pressing Control Z. I'm kind of making this look like the it's supposed to imitate the general shapes of a like brush strokes, but not really. I'm not gonna full on do like Sumi ink font. So every time I do one of these, I wind up wanting to add more shit to the the stuff. Like I keep wanting to add more things. The last set had like quotes. Like I gave them little dialogue that was written on their champion pictures. It's like I considered doing that here, but I've already run out of space. There's just so much going on here. legible. I also considered looking up the correct kanji for each of these names, like so I could write them in Japanese, like maybe below or behind is like I don't know if that's gonna work. I'm gonna fuck it up, and also it'll be like invisible with all the other stuff going on. I tried writing out the full kanji for Kojiki. There it is. And I'm not good at this, so I'm not gonna pigeonhole myself more as like an ignorant weeb. Let's do behind that. I like underlining names. There's no real reason for it. It just seems like dynamic. Yeah. Let's see how that looks with a highlight around the underline. Like layered separately from the actual text. Yeah, I like that. Kojiki. Let's see then. We now need to add the info on him. So this part gets tough. Gotta use my good handwriting, kind of. There's a chance when I'm done with this that it will not fit the way I want it to. Swampert. I've already fucked myself up because now if I do like a P, the P goes down below this line. I do that to myself every time. Let's move this up a little. Yeah, that works. So that I can make a P with a tail without it being off the letterboxing. Because this pen is slightly transparent, I have to go over every letter multiple times. Every line has to be made darker, well, lighter, because I'm doing white on black. So Swampert, male. Not really super necessary for me to add their gender on here, but it's part of their info. Lonely nature, that's what he is. Even though he's constantly surrounded by his 4.5 sisters, 4 of which like to dance and party, and they're just fun, cheerful girls. And then the last one, the sort of sister, is kind of like the mischief one. So there's always something lively going on. He shouldn't be lonely, but by nature he is. It's very contemplative. I usually like to write their hold item here, but also like his hold item's just his megastone. I guess I'll write it. Swampertite. All the megastones have dumb names. It's also annoying that each one has a separate one. You don't just get the ability per species just by doing things in the game. Because it's annoying, because what if I have 2 Pokemon of the same species and I give them like different movesets and I want to use them? I know that like in official tournaments you can't double up, but you know, what if I want to? For regular play. I have to move the Megastone between them. Swampert. I'll check later and make sure that I spelled this shit right. Oh, fuck. I'm really sorry. I moved my hand to scratch my nose and I hit the microphone. Sorry for that noise. Alright, this all fit? Yeah. Swampert, male, lonely, Swampert type. I don't remember all of his moves. That's gonna go down here. Did I... In my notes, I might have it written down. 1 second. Yep, there we go. Rock slide, that's what he has. Alright. Gotta be real small with this, because all of his moves have really long names, and I've got less space with the Mega Evo there. Muddy water. Do I still have space? Yeah, I should have space. I am so bad at spacing my letters, though. Some of this might not be super legible at the end. I have this tendency to overestimate my handwriting's legibility. But it's not too crucial that people be able to read his moveset. It's mostly just so that I've got stuff on the screen. I've got his info there if you want it, and if not, it's kind of aesthetic to just have stats running around. Hammer arm. I considered giving him like a arm tattoo sleeve for representing hammer arm, but what would I put on it? Like a hammer? That's kind of too obvious. Plus, he's always got long sleeves on, or armor, so you wouldn't see it. Let's see. Rock slide. All of this is just stuff naturally in the moveset now. The 3rd gen did not have very good movesets for most things, but as generations go on, they add more stuff that they're capable of learning, and it's just so nice. I didn't have to use any TMs. I didn't have to do any breeding, which I couldn't have because he's my starter. You can't really go back and do that. And I don't think he's ready for kids yet. Slide and earthquake. Better have room. Maybe all of the ones I've done in the past have been good practice. I'm like spacing well. Yes, there's plenty of room here. If I can relax a little. There we go. How's that look on screen? Super tiny on stream. Bring that in. Excuse me. That a weird burp. Ugh, sorry. So I think this is done. I think he's done, guys. This is nice. Saving it. Save as PNG as well. Let's put that up on the screen. Add image. Sorry, it's going to take me just a sec. And it's sized for the screen. Let's fix that. It's not exactly in like screen resolution. Check it out. That's pretty visible on stream. Looking at chat real quick. Reminds you a little of the old Gajira font. I wouldn't know. I'm just kind of doing... Honestly, I'm doing kind of a stereotype. You have to use the scroll wheel to go up and down. I figured that out, yes. Anything further up? Not really. You want TMs? Not really. If we mean technical machines in the games, like, I mean, they're infinite use in the game that he's in, so once I have them forever. I've got them, they're fine. Let's see, are we done today? We might be done today. You know what? Let's take that picture down. And I'm gonna go back into Krita. This is saved, so I can close it. I can close this. This and most other pictures are on my Tumblr proper somewhere. Start a new file. And let's just say, if I expand this, does it fuck up my OBS? No, that worked exactly how I needed it to. If I move the window, it changes correctly. That's nice. Thanks for watching. I don't know if you heard. I like Mudkip. So let's draw Mudkip. Say that's baby Kojiki. The only thing distinguishing him from any other off-model Mudkip is that he's got little stripes on his tail. Yeah. Thanks for watching. I'm turning off the stream.